Good afternoon, business owners. Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
To the Black Business Network. My name is Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, and I am your business moderator for this morning on the Black Business Network. The Black Business Network is a 24-hour business network showcasing Black businesses, business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders worldwide. We have speakers from North Carolina, London, Singapore, Africa, Japan, and cities all over the United States. The Black Business Network is a global community sharing its business knowledge to empower, inspire, and educate businesses about business. Today, we are talking about the Black business and the culture. We're talking about economic empowerment, cultural preservation and representation, innovation and diversity with community building and addressing systemic barriers. And today we are honored to introduce a distinguished figure in the realm of cybersecurity and information technology, Dr. Perdereaux-Weekes. With over 2 decades of IT experience, Dr. Weekes stands as a beacon in the industry, particularly in the fields of data privacy, security, and risk management. A seasoned business leader, he has showcased expertise in architecting and designing IT solutions, serving sectors ranging from healthcare to federal government. Notably, Dr. Weekes possesses a keen understanding of the implications of GDPR, having gained insights from European Union agencies and authorities. With a consistent track record of success and a focus on innovation and regulatory adherence, Dr. Weekes undoubtedly embodies the fusion of strategic vision and technical acumen. We eagerly await the insights he will share today. Let me introduce to you Dr. Perdereaux-Weekes.
My brother Grant, good morning. How are you, sir?
I am doing wonderful. So glad to see you this morning. How are you?
I'm blessed. Giving thanks for the ancestors.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for being here. We're going to have a fireside chat today
Definitely.
and talk about some things I think that are important for our audience to understand when they're engaging in the digital world. Now, there's some new regulations that have come on. You're an expert in this, and I want to talk about. You had mentioned to me about NIST, N-I-S-T, NIST,
Okay.
in the AI world and in cybersecurity. Talk to me about some of these changes. First, define what NIST is, and talk about some of these things that are going on.
Definitely. So NIST is the National Institute of Standard and Technology. It's a government body that work to establish baselines, best practices, in multiple fields across the federal government. It's typically not designed for or targeted to independent providers or what we call industry today, but because of how it is established its framework and expertise over time, many professionals and organizations adopt those standards. So while they're targeted to the federal agencies, we still utilize those from an industry perspective as well. So they have a wide range of expertise within multiple fields. So many professionals follow those as well.
Well, give us, how are you using NIST? I mean, why do you think it's so important? First, you have this regulation body, but how does that apply now in today's cyber world? I know you're with Cyber Minds. We had yesterday, we had Dr. Fred Hicks on as one of your partners that works in that organization. But help us understand, all right, so that's the regulatory body. That's the government regulatory body. And a lot of corporations and enterprises, they follow the NIST standard to help in the fight against cyber criminals. How are you using it? And then what's most important for you in your world and what you're trying to get across through Cyber Minds?
Oh, definitely. So from a adoption within industry perspective, we use NIST. There's a NIST 853 that forms the baseline for many of the protective services that you see in cybersecurity today. If you remember some of the conversation we've had in the past, we've looked at the whole concept of how do you protect your information. So they have technical control, there's administrative controls, and that kind of outlines some of the best practices that you can follow in order to be successful. So if you're looking at if you have a computer system, for example, there's specific criteria in terms of how you control access to that device. What is considered best practices? So within an architecture, for example, if you start looking at an individual who administer those systems, we would expect that that individual would not use the same account to check his email as he would use to log into a system that had highly sensitive information. So there was a separation between those types of functions. So that way, if one is compromised, it's not the same account is used on both systems, right? So imagine if you're managing a payroll system, and you were using the same email account to check your email and also access and administer the system. If they were able to compromise your account, then the individual or perpetrator may be able to get into the HR system because it's the same account, right? And then have access to sensitive and other type of information that they shouldn't have as well. So one of the things that you see with NIST, we've always talked about the issue of least privilege, right? Where an individual should only be given access for as much as they can do their role. So if you're an administrator, I should be able to allow you to administer the system, and then you have a separate account to be able to do that. So if your personal account is compromised, your administrator is not compromised. So when you look at some of the requirement and best practice for NIST, they may talk about some of the complexity that you can put in place for that account. So if, let's say, you're in a highly sensitive organization, access to that kind of information is tightly controlled, right? So one of the things NIST may say is there need to be some complexity into that account that you would use, right? Uppercase, you hear your password need to be 10 to 15 characters, uppercase, lowercase, special characters. So there's a combination of things that you can add to that account. There's also privileged access management that you can bring into place where you can say, hey, as an administrator, I'm going to provide you access, but the access only exists for 24 hours. After that 24 hours, you generate a new password. So the concept behind that is if your account is compromised, it's limited. Or you can set controls in terms of the length of time or when you can log onto the system or where you're logging in from, right? So if you consider a lot of the things that we do around working from home or remote access now, we can determine, okay, if Grant is in Hawaii, should he have access to the system, right? So NIST present a lot of those same opportunity for people to be able to kind of follow those best practices. They also have the cybersecurity framework that look at specific things. There is advancement around zero trust today. And I was listening to your session yesterday, and I think one of the key things you talk about is the whole concept of trust but verify, right? So when you look at some of those architecture that NIST represent, if you're looking at infrastructure that you need to adopt zero trust, you think of it like a firewall. Everything start closed, and then you only open what you need according to that need. You don't just have a firewall that turns on, and then everything become accessible, and then you have to lock it down, right? When you consider that whole process from a zero trust, it's reverse. Everything is locked, and then you only open what you need. And then when you add the issue of least privilege on top of those controls, then your architecture, you kind of set up or establish best practices. They also have like hardening requirements. If you're going to set up a cloud environment, what are some of the things that you should do? We've talked about it over time about this whole concept of click next, where today we've seen a lot of individuals who jump in the business who've never really managed anything on-prem. And now it's in the cloud, and now they're cloud architect, right? They've never gone through a disaster. They've never worked in a data center. They've never had to manage assets there. And it's so easy in the cloud to configure that today that individual kind of think that, oh yeah, I can just get in. And then you get instances where true misconfiguration, basic security hygiene that we always talk about, right? Where you have these huge compromise just because somebody may have not checked the box to lock down that container. And, we see it every day in industry because organization, not just Google alone, they're out there just crawling this stuff and being able to just pick up, hey, that Grant created the container for BBDM. Imagine if you create an infrastructure and all your client data was left in a database that was not secure, right, or not locked down. What would be the impact to your business? So, those are the kind of best practices that NIST have across a wide range of topics. Another one that we've been seeing a lot of conversation around with CMMC, like for the last 4 or 5 years. I think there have been a push at the federal level to start saying, if you're going to support the federal government, I'm going to put technical controls on you that you need to validate that now your infrastructure is secure, right? So, think about it. You're working on a F-16, fighter pilot jet, providing a small amount of service. And as part of that contract that you may have, somebody is able to not compromise the government, but compromise your access and now get access to, highly sensitive information.
Yeah.
So this requirement, 800-171, I think is the NIST document that supports CMMC. There is specific controls that they put in place. Do you have firewalls? Do you have infrastructure, vulnerability scanning? Do you have a segregation of the users? Are you an organization that have both citizens and non-citizens? How do you segregate the access to that project you may have from the government from those individuals who should not have access to that sensitive information?
configuration is identified. Everyone in this room, all of your networks are constantly being scanned and enumerated, trying to identify vulnerabilities or potential pathways. So reducing your attack surface so your private applications truly are private.
For the management of these are end-to-end.
It is critical that when a machine gets compromised, or is attempted to be compromised, that the protection software is able to run at the speed at which the attackers run. Attackers more and more are using AI and ML to automate their attacks. So we need to be able to have our own behavioral and static AI engines using ML and every other, not only first and second wave type of AI, but also figure out what's next in that industry.
They were like that.
Quick question about
This is interesting. I want to ask you this. You brought something up that's so important. You talk about Google that is scanning your network. It's doing it all the time, skimming through, looking at different things. This could be called, it is an AI. It's an AI, right? You wouldn't necessarily call it a malicious AI, but there are malicious AI out there with that kind of breadth that's looking for vulnerabilities to exploit. So you have that negative ally. You have the duality of a positive AI that's like, okay, I'm seeing that this AI is looking for these vulnerabilities. I need to now shield my infrastructure against this, because that is exactly what's happening today, that you can automate these types of things, not only from an individual user like me and you, but then organizational structures. So they're looking for these exploits. Talk to us about this AI versus AI that's happening now across these digital landscapes.
No, I think it's evolution of the technology, right? AI against AI was always there. I think what you're seeing now is, I think, with the adoption of the regular people getting access to AI, right? Because that's where the challenges are today. It's not the fact that AI is a new concept. We am seeing it from a research and an AI perspective, is the fact that individuals now have access to deploy AI to look for the vulnerabilities before the adversary do it, right? So what you're seeing today is, as an organization, you need to be in a position to be able to defend yourself against the individuals who's also using AI, right? So like, I think we talked about before, imagine if you were a Cisco shop and you were able to run ChatGPT type of AI that looks for network vulnerabilities, right? And there's some organization that plays in that space very well. Horizon AI and some other organization that exists that provide similar services. So imagine if you had the ability to harden your infrastructure using best practices, NIST 800 for zero trust and other things like that, but by using AI to find those vulnerabilities before an adversary does, right? So you would be able to address that risk before an adversary who's also using AI. And the benefit of that today is being able to take corrective action in real time. Because remember, the brain is only so much. Even though the AI is powerful, we still need a human to program it. But what it does, it goes in and ingests a large amount of data that you and I may not be able to do over our lifetime. And then the priority there is to be able to show thousands and millions of different configurations at you within minutes, and being able to react on the other side of that defense in millions of configuration blocking and adjustment at the same time. So it's like having two NFL teams that is paired very well.
Yeah.
Or you think of the game of chess. When two masters chess players play, the whole idea is to think about not just this play, but the effect of this play on a play 100 times down the line, right? So imagine technology that can do it 1,000,000 times down the line, right? Your ability as a human to be able to respond and protect against that, it's like, we hear the concept, genius is coming. The genius is coming in that approach is that they have the ability to throw millions of combinations at you, and that AI against AI is where you see that dynamics where the industry is going. Because, you talk about the AI for good approach, that become one way for you to use AI to defend against your network in real time.
Oh, I'm a Midwest boy through and through. I grew up in Detroit, outside Detroit. I was born in Chicago, but I went to school in Indiana and Missouri, or Missouri as I fondly call it. No offense to any Missourians, but yeah, it was a great young life in the Midwest. The value I think I bring and what I've learned is how to, again, navigate these diverse relationships that exist in healthcare and really project manage at a level to make change happen. And that really is synonymous with information technology and digital today. Simplification and overall getting access to the right care at the right time, at the right place is absolutely critical.
I have my PhD in biomedical informatics, and I tend to focus and get really passionate around genomics, particularly when we talk about genomics for precision health, genomics for community and population health, so on and so forth, and some of the disparities and differences that manifest themselves in the human body based on your heredity, your ethnicity, your environmental impact and stimulus that's coming from outside of your control, and how that impacts the way you ingest medicine, the way your body takes in that medicine and delivers it throughout your cells. Even though the drug is the same, the dosage is the same, the age, weight, blood pressure, all of these other vital signs may be the same, but the drug may manifest itself differently between these two demographics, just simply based on the differences in their genetic history and their genomes.
Yes, in
But I
real
see more of
time.
that.
That's so important that we have this, I want to talk to you about access. It's so important because there's different types of access, and the general public is starting to get exposed to this because it's so important. Because the people have been using passwords for a long time. Then you have password, phrases. Then you had two-factor authentication, and now you've got biometrics, and now you've got voice activation.
Yeah.
How do you see all these different types of accesses?
All of those have flaws. And
Mm-hmm.
with the technology that you have today, imagine there is AIs and other processes that can duplicate your voice, right? So, there's a couple of things that a couple of trends that I follow. First of all, every call I get, if I don't recognize the call, I may pick up the phone, right? So I may go like, the call may come in, I'll go like this,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm quiet. I don't say anything, right? And that's a defensive approach where the call comes in, I may pick it up and I may put it on mute, because many of the technologies today, they're waiting for you to say hello and then a human come on. So many of the regulation that you're seeing that's supposed to, protect you and put you on a do not call list, technology organizations are figuring out how to get around that, right? They use a bot to call, and then once you say hello and a human get on the line, then they do it. So when I pick it up, if you just mute the line, then after 10 seconds, the call just dropped. Or somebody may come in and speak after 5 seconds. So then you're weird to kind of how to protect yourself, from that perspective. So those are some of the things that you want to kind of be mindful of today. And then when you look at the whole protection, it's like, everyone become targeted. Sometimes, like you said, your picture may be used, or you've seen deep fake or other technology whereby your voice is being connected. And you can just go in, put your voice in for a couple of minutes, and AI can duplicate that and have a conversation where I think it's Grant, right? So the challenge there is, it's not only just trust and verify, but a trust and verify plus, right? Where you need to make sure that it is in fact Grant. I think like you were talking about yesterday, somebody called, you had a friend that called and said, hey, I need $10,000, right?
Yeah.
And then you really start thinking about it, because today, many individuals are being preyed on. You think about the elderly communities who may receive a request that said a grandson is in trouble because he took a trip someplace and this person needs $10,000. And that is some of the basis for Cyber Minds and what we do, because we continue to take this approach around education. How do we educate those that may be vulnerable? We always say you can't lose it if you don't have it, right? If you don't have that $10,000, they're not going to get away with me with that, right? Because I'm not going to have 10 grand. That if I'm going to give 10 grand, just like what you were saying, I'm going to make sure that it's so needed, right? That is definitely needed for that $10,000. And there need to be at least 10 or 20 ways to verify that before I just give up $10,000, right? From that perspective. So you want to be able to do that. And then, so that's address the voice, that's address, the image. And like I always say is, in this day and age of AI, sometimes you can't even trust what you see, right? Because there's so many ways to manipulate what you can see from a visual perspective. So, even that sense is now being taken away from you, because there's a process of how do we make sure that if you think you saw what you just saw, right? And then you try to repeat, hey, this is what I just saw. The question is, if I can fake that for you and make you think that's what you just saw, then now I'm getting to the brain, right? I'm directly imprinting an image where I want you to remember that. That probably did not happen. You've seen cases from a legal perspective where, there was a conversation around a witness. At 9 o'clock on last Friday, did you see this individual doing A or B? Right? And then the attorney started challenging, okay, what was the lighting like? You was in a corner. Did you really have the ability to identify that it was suspect A or B, right? From that perspective, because of what you actually thought you saw compared to what was there. Or they bring in an individual in a lineup, right? And it's always
That's
the
true.
person who is identified that lineup may not have nothing to do with the case, right? And if you have unscrupulous investigators, you can easily, hey, Grant, you did see that person at that time. So they're planting, you think about the evidence being misrepresented. But, there's the same thing with AI, because the same senses for which we've determined or used over time to decipher what is true and what we actually seeing is being altered. And the technology today, it's really abound when you really think of what we can do. That's why when you look at trying to verify that it's somebody committing, a cyber incident, you really need to say that it is that person, because if somebody jump on your environment, commit that offense, and leave all the evidence for grant, all of a sudden you may be caught up. You may be caught up in that situation whereby you wasn't even there, but all the evidence that was created points squarely to you in that sense.
Oh my God!
Right?
The fraud is the potential for fraud is definitely has been escalated.
Yes.
And in the sense of how if somebody wants to maliciously use the technology, there's some things now in the courts and law around AI from that negative aspect of what we're talking about, because pretty soon you're not going to be able to discern the reality from the fake. I've seen these technologies that you can utilize, and you can take my real voice now, you can take my real image right now that I'm actually speaking, and duplicate it in such fidelity that you cannot tell the difference. The thing is, you're going to start looking at, what am I asking you to do? What is really happening? What is out of order? Something's out of order typically. And all of a sudden my character changes. I start to ask and do certain things that aren't consistent to who I am and what I do. What are some of the things that you've heard about? Because they probably maybe have not been able to pass a law yet. But what are the things that you're hearing about that they're going to be able to do to kind of curtail some of these AI bots running rampant in these digital worlds?
So I think, there's two approaches that I see. Similar to data privacy, Europe has been driving a lot of the discussion and change around AI. Some individual may look at it, interpret their action as a way to limit, enterprise who's operating within that space. But I think fundamental to the whole concept of AI is data, right? An AI system, one of the key things that it needs is a data set on which to train, right? So if there's no data, the ability, you think of it as you're moving up a corporate ladder, and while you're trying to build your next step, someone removed the steps, right? How do you kind of get to that next level? So a lot of the stuff around AI is the same conversation that you had around data privacy that's been running for many years. Organizations like NIST and some of the fundamental things, when you go back and read the history around individuals that's been playing in that space, one of the key things that they've had has been around the data set that is used to build and train AI. And the complexity around that is going to come down to some of the consent, the conversation around consent, right? If you remember Clear AI and other organizations that operated in the space that went and crawled the internet and harvested billions and billions of images. The whole conversation is like, when you put your data out there, what data set is it ending up in order to train the AI, right? So, when you think of Google, Google has become like a staple in terms of internet right now, right? When you consider everything that you search, every image that is indexed, and having the technology to be able to put that back to you real time, that become the conversation that you're going to have. So many of the regulation today is looking at the whole concept of, how do you validate the data set under which AI is built? How do you control what can and cannot be done around the processing of data for which data sets now depend? How do you manage the whole concept of consent to that data right, that give you the ability to use that data. What is the purpose for collection? And after the data is collected, if I share it with one entity, does that mean that you as a secondary entity can now use that same data, right? So many of the arguments today has been around use of data, and AI, as a building block that depends on data. Many organizations or government entity is moving forward for that. Even NIST, they're looking at different framework that address how we should play within that space, right? From an AI perspective, I know EU have the AI Act that they've been kind of jumping ahead. And one of the things that you and I have always spoke to over time in these conversations is that the technology is changing so fast, right? The regulation continue to be behind. And then the individual driving this conversation about the regulation, they're the old folks like us, right? So they have a different requirement in terms of how the business and process should run and what is standard practice. So I think, many of the organizations are coming to a point of saying, hey, what are standard things that we should expect within this AI ecosystem? And when you go back and you look at, some of the foundational data set that was used to build AI models today, it was not good, right? Because there was many data set that was misrepresentative of some parts of the community, right? So you think of some of the original discussion, when you read the history, it's really challenging. But that's what we're using for ChatGPT today, right? And so if you look at some of the challenges that they're running into in certain parts of the world, Europe specifically, there've been a lot of action against, hey, how do you quantify that the information that you're presenting is either legally obtained, it's consensual, you have all of the ducks in a row to be able to do that. And the advance of AI, there was so many different modules that's playing right now. And there's ChatGPT is what everybody know, but there's many other technology that does things like that around the same AI technology, imaging, doing video, building a whole website. You can do that in 2 minutes today with some of the AI module that's out there, right? That go out and, one of the things that I always say the technology is good for, it's good for regurgitating data that's already there. What you need is individuals of expertise to be able to look for anomalies. You talk about a conversation with you a few minutes ago. If you know Grant enough and you see a differences, you say, hey, that looks like Grant, but I know Grant, and that is definitely not Grant. That is someone that's generated. I think you saw a couple years ago there was a deep fake around the president, Obama, right? So imagine today if somebody can put together a speech that's saying inappropriate things, that is definitely not Grant, and put it out there, right? You have an imaging business with 5-star BBM, where you're always looking at how do you help that next organization build that brand, right? You may take 20, 30, 40 years to build a brand, and that can be destroyed in a second, right? If there's something that's happened to be not true, but it gets into cyberspace, and then, you got to be twice.
There's going to be a lot to be able to protect your identity, your corporate identity, and understanding these things. Everything, any tool can be used for good or bad. We just need to understand what is really happening. Get people like yourself who are very intelligent in these worlds to know how to utilize the best thing. I heard what you said, and that was so great about you get to look at the data and the data set, how the AI actually works, and then get that consent, because without consent, it becomes automatically, illegal. You become liable for your use of that type of, not just the technology, but how you use the technology in that context becomes liable. And then at that point, now you can go after them from a legal standpoint. And that's what we need to get to. We've got just a few seconds here. Tell us again, Dr. Alexis, how to contact you, get in touch with CyberMinds, and can continue that conversation on a one-on-one basis.
Well, definitely. You can contact me at apweeks@cybermindinstitute.org. You can find me at LinkedIn and other sort of social medias. You could always reach me to Grant. We always hear the cyber mind, like we've discussed in the past, is a fundamental concept of trying to change the mindset of individuals that use technology today, especially those within the non-profit space, organizations who may not have the technical expertise. We are a group of professionals from industry, well-researched, who deal with and study these things on a day-to-day basis, continue to look at the trends, not just what the industry is doing today, but where we're going in the future, and kind of just stay abreast of the technological change. And we are cyber minds. Our goal is to be able to bring you those expertise, help you have a different set or change your mindset of how you think of cybersecurity, risk, and vulnerability, and being able to come down to your level. We've been doing this for 20 plus years, all the members. So we have an understanding of industry, and we're able to come down to your level, bring some expertise that directly pertain to your industry, and help you protect or at least defend. We've talked about this before. It's not a matter about if, right, or when, and you will have an incident. The question is,
wow, what you said there is so powerful.
Right?
It's not about a question of if, it's just when. So this has been wonderful. Thank you for joining us on the Black Business Network this morning. Genius is common, and I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you, sir.
The Black Business Expo's mission is to raise funds for high school seniors going to college or K through 12 entrepreneurs. This expo is a fundraiser for students. Please, you may go to www.blackbusinessexpousa.com to donate to the scholarship fund, or use the Cash App at $BBXUSA. Our goal is to give laptops and up to $5,000 to 10 students. Students can register online at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com. Every dollar counts. Please donate to the Black Business Expo USA Scholarship Fund. The 5-star BDM LinkedIn social selling course can help you stand out and attract the right connections and opportunities. We will help you professionally create your profile, provide personalized recommendations for improvement, and help you create and share engaging content to help you showcase your skills and expertise. Our 5-step course makes connecting with industry experts, finding job opportunities, and building meaningful relationships easy. Social selling can be an effective way for you to generate leads and close deals, but it does have its challenges. Our course will help you solve the problems associated with digital networking. If you need help personalizing your outreach and messaging, which can lead to low response rates and a lack of engagement. If you need help targeting the right prospects, this course is for you. With so much noise on social media, it can be challenging to cut through the clutter and get your message in front of the right people. Our course will personalize your messaging using our targeting tools and research. You can identify and reach the right prospects. We will also show how to deliver high quality, valuable content that attracts and engages prospects and clients. The 5-star BDM LinkedIn social selling course will address these challenges by implementing best practices. As a result, you can improve your social selling efforts and generate better results. Are you looking to improve your LinkedIn profile and reach a wider audience? Social selling is an effective way for you to generate leads and close deals, but it does have its challenges. Some common problems we saw with social selling include lack of visibility. If your profile is not optimized, or you're not actively participating in groups or sharing content, it can be difficult to get noticed on LinkedIn. Number 2, lack of personalization. Some businesses struggle with personalizing their outreach and messaging, which can lead to low response rates and a lack of engagement. Also, difficulty targeting the right prospects. It can be difficult to identify and target the right prospects on social media, especially if you don't have access to robust targeting tools. And number 4, outdated content. If your LinkedIn profile or content is not up to date, it can give the impression that you're not actively engaged on the platform or that your skills and experience are not current. And lastly, poor quality content and not leveraging video and picture to convey ideas. To solve these problems, the 5-star BDM LinkedIn Optimization Social Selling Video course will help you focus on personalizing your outreach and messaging to better connect with prospects. In module number 1, the foundation, we will help you create high quality, valuable profile that will attract and engage. In module 2, the story, optimizing your LinkedIn profile to make sure it is complete, accurate, and visually appealing. In module number 3, the experience, using your targeting tools and research to identify and reach out to the right prospects. In module number 4, engagement, establishing a consistent follow-up process to nurture leads and build relationships over time. And lastly, in number 5, execution. Understand the metrics to help you measure your brand effectiveness. By addressing these challenges and implementing best practices, you will improve your social selling with the 5-star BDM LinkedIn Optimization Social Selling course. Listen to what others have said about 5-star BDM.
Grant, I'll tell you why I'm here, right? I'm here because I love your brand. When we started chatting on LinkedIn, we connected. I checked you out and I go, man, this guy knows what he's talking about.
You were definitely instrumental in helping to shape that knowledge of who I am. Because at first I thought, well, I am an actress. I am a writer. I am a producer. I am a speaker. And so I said, well, I must be a creative communicator. I know that there is a narrative thread here, but you nailed it when you said you are a storyteller. So you brought it all together in this cohesive title.
Sign up today to improve your social selling opportunities. By building strong relationships with potential customers and demonstrating its value, my client was able to close more sales, drive a 200% increase in revenue, and establish a loyal customer base. Black Business Expo's mission is to raise funds for high school seniors going to college or K through 12 entrepreneurs. This expo is a fundraiser for students. Please, you may go to www.blackbusinessexpousa.com to donate to the scholarship fund or use the Cash App at $BBXUSA. Our goal is to give laptops and up to $5,000 to 10 students. Students can register online at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com. Every dollar counts. Please donate to the Black Business Expo USA Scholarship Fund.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaw, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-Star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaw explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun.
I am over, operations, strategy. I have a small team. We take a look at the big picture. Well, I look at the big picture and kind of see, okay, here are opportunities, kind of work with the team. They come up with solutions. They come up with ideas. I love to brainstorm. I guess that's maybe the creative side. What I've learned is when it comes to people and technology, it seems as if when new technology comes on the scene, we may tend to use old way of thinking to apply to the new technology.
Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.5starbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you. Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius.